What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in once again. Today is day 3 of Le Tour de Beer, a Tour de France race and recap and beer review little YouTube glimpse is what we're doing. Again, Team Beer Guts, we want to be beer focused, but because this is Tour de France and that's what's inspiring this, we are going to give a quick recap of today's stage. So if you're here for the beer, just stick with me. That said, I do need to apologize about yesterday's video. It was the definition of a turd biscuit. It was terrible. It was too long. I was exhausted, and I just kind of was all over the place, but it just wasn't going to get edited because I'm determined to be able to do one every single day. So, that said, real quick, as far as today's stage, it was pretty boring until it wasn't. Yeah. 10 kilometers left or so, or at some point, that's when everybody decides to start throwing themselves onto the pavement. Spoiler alerts, things are coming at you real quick. Geraint Thomas hit the ground, dislocated his shoulder, popped it back in, and finished the stage. G is a tough SOB. About 3 kilometers, before 3 kilometers, so probably about 5, because I think 3 is a safe cutoff. More people start to hit the ground. Primož Roglič hits the ground. His whole team, just about, other than Wout van Aert, goes back to be able to drag him back. Tadej Pogačar hits the ground. Pretty much all the favorites end up hitting the ground and losing time, except Julian Alaphilippe. Somehow he managed to not get caught up in any of that. They're all trying to stay away because it's supposed to be a sprint finish, so we're looking at the sprinters. The GC guys were all over the ground. And then the sprinters hit the ground too. Heading towards the end, it looked like it was going to be crazy. I'm finally thinking this is going to be a Peter Sagan moment, and Caleb Ewan crashes in front of him. Baseball sliding in through his front wheel and taking them both out. Caleb was on the ground for a while. Hopefully he's going to be okay. I've not heard if he has to abandon or not. So this is where I was thinking that Peter should have been taking more of those intermediate sprint points. That's how he's won the green jersey in the past. He didn't do that, and so now he's at a point where he couldn't get any points. I don't know how he's going to feel after. So, crazy stage. Once again, it was supposed to be crazy and crashing because it was raining. It never rained, and people threw themselves onto the ground anyway. So, a nutty stage, more crit-like, which leads us to today's beer. Today's beer is called Ring That Bell, and this is a dry-hopped Pilsner from Upper Pass Brewing in Vermont. And I've talked about dry hop Pilsners in the past, and the dry hop Pilsner, actually we were talking about Pilsners, and we were talking about the Italian Pilsner and German Pilsner, and I was given some of the differences between them. And that was one of the things I probably missed in the video, is the Italian Pilsners are dry hopped. So, not with just an American hop, because then you're just making a dry hopped crazy lager that might as well just be an IPA. But you should be using some type of noble hops. Now this one happens to use an American hop, but it's got some very noble characteristics. I looked it up, and I can't remember the name of the hop. But they're using German malt bill, they're using a German tradition on this, so this is a straight up Pilsner, and they're dry hopping it. So they're not using the Italian malt, they're not using the Ericlea malt, but you might want to throw this into the Italian Pilsner if Italian Pilsner was its own style. If not, and then, is it Czech, is it Bohemian, is it German? I looked on the website, it says that it's done in the Czech and Bohemian style. So, it's about 4.5%. Going to give you a look at this beer as well. I'm nursing on one, and I'm about to open another. Well, it's like ridiculously hot. It's about 840-something degrees out here, but it's still too hot to cook in the kitchen. So I'd rather sit out here and sweat while I put some chicken on the grill. So, let's pour one of these beers and take a look at style-wise what we got. Oh, I'm terrible at this. Yeah. Anyway, let's put this here and get a beer. Pause. Whoopsie. So, we're talking about this beer, and here we go in my Bikes and Beers glass. We've got some, call that straw to yellow in color with a great white head on it. And I'm glad I'm drinking a Pilsner. Because, like I said, it's really hot. Pilsners are great on hot days. Also, because it's a little different and a little crazy, I think it's fitting for what today's stage was. Aroma on here. I still get a lot of the malts. Some of the hop pop is there, but I'm definitely getting some malt in there. Clean malt, so crackers, grain, hay even. The taste is super crisp. I do like this hop. I wish I remembered it. I should have remembered what it was, and I don't. But if you find it on Upper Pass or Beer Advocate, actually, I believe those numbers or details are in there. It's super dry. The dry hop gives it a little bit more pop to it, and then the malt just kind of fades into the background. Crisp mouthfeel. Carbonation level is nice on this, and again dries the palate. Looking for another sip. Great thing about this that I'm really liking about this beer as well is I think it's going to go really good with both the steak and the chicken. So grilling both, because when you grill with charcoal, if I just did the chicken, then I got all this leftover heat and I don't want to waste it. So actually doing the steak, going to chop that up and put it on a salad, and then we'll keep the chicken for later. So there's your Cicerone portion of how to be able to pair your beer with your food. I think that the drying mouthfeel is going to go really good. You take some of the juiciness of the steak, put it on some, on a salad. You could put it with rice and beans or whatever. So, yeah, so there's your beer style. It is a dry hop Pilsner. Again, it is Upper Pass. Let me show you that can one more time. They are based out of Vermont. However, I picked this beer up in New Hampshire. I'm sure you should be able to find this anywhere. The Crit inspired artwork and name is super cool. And, oh yeah, one other thing. 100% of the proceeds of this beer goes to the Prouty. If you've never heard of it, it's a charity bike ride for cancer. I believe it's in its 40th year, so that's super cool. I've never had the chance to ride the Prouty. It usually conflicts with something else that I had, but at some point I will ride the Prouty. Hopefully not this year, but whenever, and whenever I'm riding, because still dealing with this stupid knee injury thing. We'll talk about that later. So at least I've got some good beers to get me by until then. So until tomorrow, enjoy tomorrow's stage, and I'll be back tomorrow reviewing and talking about another beer. Cheers!